In this video, I'm going to show off my DIY center channel speaker. My name is Justin, and I build my own speakers. So the speaker I'm showing you is based on a kit from Parts Express, the Tritrix. At the time, you could only order a knockdown MDF cabinet if you ordered the tower version of these speakers, but I wanted to build a center channel. If you don't want to go through all the trouble of cutting your own wood and cutting out your speaker holes, you can go ahead and get the knockdown cabinets. I wanted to do that because I wanted to save a few bucks and I wanted to gain the knowledge and skills and have a little bit of fun cutting up my own wood, cutting out the speaker holes and doing it myself. Since I was not using the knockdown cabinets, I needed a little bit of extra help with the speaker design, so I went to speakerdesignworks.com. This is the original creator of the Tritrix speaker kit, and you can see tons of really interesting speaker kits out there. It's a great resource and a fantastic website, and all in all, helpful guide. There's the center channel version of the Tritrix right there on the screen. I made a few minor cosmetic changes to the layout recommended here, but for the most part it is the exact same layout you have on the screen right in front of you. I wasn't able to get any pictures of the cutting process. At the time I did not have a table saw. All the cuts were made with an inexpensive circular saw and a couple of Craig jigs. I needed to recess the speakers. I did not have a rabbiting bit for my router at the time, so I had to cut the recesses using multiple passes with the router and circle jig. Since I'd never done that before, I thought I should make a test cut. It fit like a glove. Now to cut out the recesses and holes for the mid-range drivers. We have two baffles and two mid-ranges each. It took 2 passes per driver to cut out the recesses and 1 for the hole. So this took a total of 12 passes with the router. Here we have a test fit of the mids and some shots showing where the tweeters will go. On to the next day, and I'm set up to make the cuts for the tweeters. I need to make 2 passes with the circle jig to cut the recesses and follow that with 1 more pass for the speaker cutout. Here you can see the neighbor's 3-legged cat. That's Tripod. Tripod always liked to come out and hang out with me when I was in the backyard. I managed to get some footage of the setup before I cut the recesses, and what I've done is I've got the depth stop set so that when I push down on the plunge feature of the router, it'll stop at the appropriate depth, and then I've got a pin in place. That pin's just going to go in a hole in the center of my circle. At 4, you can see right there the 4 mark, and then you just follow to the 4 and then follow out to the 3/8 to set this jig up, the Jasper circle jig, for a 4 3/8 inch cut, and that's going to be the first outer diameter for the recess. Then I've got to back that off a 1/4 inch for the next recess and then back it off another 1/4 inch for the final cutout. And the tweeter cutouts are done and everything fits perfect. The port is 2-inch PVC pipe. I used Gorilla Glue to attach the port to the back of the speaker, and I've got a brace, and I went ahead and attached the port to the brace as well. You'll notice that I'm working out of a rustic carport. Sometimes the best place you have to work is the place you have to work. There's nothing wrong with making do until you can do better. This is the glue up. I used glue and clamps. There were no screws or brad nails used in this. I'm going to wait to secure the top until after I figured out what I'm going to do with the crossover. This was my first time wiring up a crossover and my first attempt at using a soldering iron. So I figured I'd just mount the crossover components directly to the interior of the box. This gave me plenty of space to work, and I was able to lay out the schematic with red and black Sharpies. Here I've taken the whole thing outside once again and glued on the top. The drivers are wired up and it's ready to make some music. You can tell from the leaves on the ground that winter is coming, which is exactly what happened. I hooked this up for center channel duty before I had a chance to veneer it. Then life got busy. My family and I moved, and this project sat for an entire year before I could get back to it. But that's okay, because in that year I got to enjoy my center channel speaker that I'd built myself. It sounded fantastic. I was glad to have this in my home theater. Fast forward a year, and we have the second set of drivers. This time I mounted the crossover to a board that will then mount inside the enclosure. The surroundings are a little bit different. Now I have a garage to work in after I've moved. I'm very thankful to have a place where I can work on my hobby. Now things are getting exciting. You can tell by the shaky camera footage. But this was my first try with Veneer. There were a few flaws, but I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I've gotten better at this over time. The plan is to stain this with Minwax Poly Shades, which is a stain and poly all-in-one. It brushes on very simply, and then after it's dried, you sand it with steel wool and then brush on another coat, and you just kind of repeat that process until you get the darkness that you want. Here I have applied the stain, and I've wrapped the front baffle in a carbon fiber veneer that I got from Parts Express. Again, this was my first attempt at doing any kind of veneer like this. It was a little bit tricky to get it to look nice, but I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. It's a nice looking speaker for my first attempt at a speaker like this. I'm happy with the way it sounds. It's now sitting in its spot in my home theater room, doing center channel duty. I've since added to it surrounds that are based on the exact same set of speakers and some Tritrix towers that are mass-loaded transmission lines. Hopefully I'll have a chance to get these videos up and show you. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed watching my build log.